All right, y'all, this is one of my very favorite cookies. I remember my grandmother making them, just plain as day, being in the kitchen. Every memory I have of my grandmother's seems to be in the kitchen. Okay, the recipe calls for shortening, and it's a cup of shortening. Now, a lot of you are going to already ask, can you substitute the shortening and use butter? If you have to, because you live overseas, absolutely. But if you want it to taste like my Maw Maw's, you're not going to substitute anything. You're going to make them just like my Maw Maw did. And that's with shortening. My grandmother used shortening every day of her life and lived to be 90, and her husband lived to be 93. So just don't eat a lot of little Debbie's. And maybe that'll keep you from getting too sick. We eat all this other stuff. And so anyway, so we're going to get started with that. A cup of shortening going in the mixer. And then you got 1 1/4 cups of sugar. Good old sugar. Tea cakes aren't real sweet. That's one thing I love about them. So you got 1 1/4 cups of sugar. This is 1. Let me get a 1/4 cup. And a 1/4 cup, we're going to cream the sugar and shorten it together till it's nice and creamy. And then we're going to start adding the eggs, just like you would if you were making a cake. Now, if you're making a cake, you would add your eggs 1 at a time. And we're not really making a cake, so it's not that critical that we add the eggs 1 at a time. It's not that critical that we add the eggs 1 at a time with cookies, okay? So you could just throw everything in there at the same time. But I want to whip this until it's nice and fluffy, and it'll just take a minute. I'm going to turn it up on high. All right, so now we're going to add 3 eggs, large eggs, and mix that up until it's fluffy. Make sure I get it all in there good. Even if this has little scrapers in it, I like to scrape it anyway, just in case. I'm going to add some vanilla. Let's see how much it says. It says 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And now this is a vanilla flavoring, so I'm adding just a little extra. So now we're going to start adding our flour. Our flour, I'm using White Lily, okay? It is a white winter wheat. It is self-rising. If you do not live down here where you can get White Lily flour, King Arthur flour has a white winter wheat that's their self-rising. And I'm telling you, I have used both of them in a blind taste test, and they taste almost identical. What is great about a white winter wheat is that it's light and fluffier, okay? It makes your cookies and cakes and light and fluffy. It's almost like cake flour, all right, if you're just wanting to know what's so great about it. And let's see how much flour we put. 3 whole cups, which is a lot of flour. These cookies are not real sweet, but to me, they are just absolutely dreamy. Now, my Maw Maw sometimes would put she would make icing for them with chocolate. But I like them just as plain. I like them plain just as much. All right, we're going to start with a cup of flour. Go ahead and start mixing it. I like to put on the shield so it don't go everywhere, because this mixer don't have a real low setting. I love the batter. It's so good to me. If this were a cake, the parts for sugar to flour would be equal. And the parts for sugar to flour in this recipe are a little less than half. So it's not super sweet, but it's delicious. Okay, I've got a cookie sheet. The best cookie sheet in the world is a stainless steel thin cookie sheet like this one. They're wonderful, wonderful to make cookies on. I got a piece of parchment on it, and we're going to put these out and bake these at 350 degrees. I tell you to spray a cookie sheet, but we're going to use parchment today for a change. I'm going to use this large cookie scoop, and we're going to put these about 1.5 inches apart from each other, and we're going to bake them at 350 degrees for 12 minutes. And we're going to put these in the oven right quick behind us. Now, I'm not going to use convection to make these cookies. And I am going to turn a timer on. Now, my grandmother would make a chocolate icing to go on these, and it was a lot like chocolate sauce, or what some people call chocolate gravy. Now, some people make chocolate gravy with flour in it, and then some people make it without flour, which means it's just a chocolate sauce. Y'all tell me if your mother made chocolate gravy, if she called it gravy, if that's what she called it, and if you even know if she put flour in it or not, because a lot of people didn't, okay? And to me, it's not gravy unless it's got some flour in it. If it doesn't have flour in it, then I would call it a chocolate sauce, okay? We are going to, I don't think I'm going to make a chocolate sauce today. I could. I can't decide. I like these cookies just like they are. And like I said, these cookies are not sugar cookies, okay? They're not as sweet. They're tea cakes. And we have a recipe for tea cakes, and then we also have a recipe for lemon tea cakes. And I know you're going to love either one if you give them a try. We'll see when these come out of the oven. All right, that's our beeper. It's time to get the cookies out. Now they're light. I'm not sure how dark they are on the bottom. I'm gonna look. They're not very dark at all on the bottom. I think we might have to cook these 2 minutes longer, y'all, and I just messed that one up. Let's put them back in. Y'all look, that little cookie I smashed is rising again. And it's gonna take these a little longer to get brown, so I put them on convection. I love tea cakes browned. Not burnt, but brown. When a tea cake browns, it's just like the bottom of a biscuit. It has a flavor from the toasted bread on a biscuit, okay? And these cookies have a toasted flavor. And that's the recipe and the flavor that I remember growing up so much, is that flavor on the bottom of the cookie, okay? And you can't get that unless you use the right flour and unless you make sure it's toasted. Okay, the convection did the trick in about 2 minutes. We're going to pull these out and let you look how pretty they look. So if you don't have convection, all you have to do is just turn up your temperature just about 25 minutes. Look how beautiful these are. Look at these gorgeous cookies. There's the one I messed up. Look how beautiful they are. And I'm going to tell you, they're going to taste just like Maw Maw's. All right, we're going to get them off, put them on this cooling rack. When you use parchment, it's a lot easier. Got to cool them just slightly so that you can slide them off. And then you can start another batch. These are absolutely perfect. I think they're a good size. And they're going to be delicious. We'll eat the one that I messed up. Now, if you've tried our tea cake recipe, that was Maw Maw's, let us know how you liked them. I might get these a little bit closer. I think I could easily do a dozen on here. Now, I got my cookie scoop at a thrift store. You'd be surprised. And they work great. They really do. Of course, I didn't have one growing up. But if you go to thrift stores, if you can't afford to get one off our website, you can go to thrift stores and find stuff like this lots of times where people have given it away because they don't use it enough or whatever. And this one is great. It's a great size. Okay, we're going to get these in the oven. Now, if you want to make a chocolate sauce to go on yours, I'll give you a recipe. You could always use some chocolate icing from the store even. I just love them. I could eat all of them in one day. That's why I usually don't bake all of them, because if I do, I want to eat them. I just love the way that flour gets toasted around the edges and the way that it tastes. Reminds you of being a kid all over again. I hope y'all have enjoyed watching Colored Valley Cooks, where we make tea cakes just like Maw Maw did. We love you and appreciate you. See you next time. A little sugar and a whole lot of love. Tammy cooks it like mama. Oh, like mama. Tammy cooks it like mama. Best food you ever had.